We're back to talking about full-size Star Wars helmets today, and this one is one that people have been asking for a very long time, and I think it's going to be exciting to take a look at. Let's get into this. All right, welcome to another episode of Paul's Collectibles. It's good to have you as always. I appreciate you joining me. And today we're talking about full-size Star Wars helmets, and we've got a really cool one. Actually, my favorite Trooper variant and one of the favorite helmets that I already have in my collection, and that is the Death Trooper helmet. Now, this one says it's from Rogue One, a Star Wars story. However, in live action, we've seen them show up in a couple of other places. Now, we're going to take a look at the helmet, get it in front of some lights, see how they've packed it, and then go around and get a really good look at it. But after that, I will then compare it to my high-end Anovos version Death Trooper helmet, and we'll see what the differences are so you can get an idea what compromises may or may not have been made in this new Hasbro Rogue One Death Trooper helmet. But with that, let's get into this. And as always, real quick, we'll start with the box. They're still using that standard 5-sided box. This one's a little oblong. It's not quite a square. You've got the Black Series insert right there, and then some pictures and schematics of the helmet as you go around. And they've used this really good, coolish, it's like a green, I guess would be the best way to describe it, but it's a lighter green color, almost like kind of like the night vision displays you would get from like night vision goggles or something like that, which I think goes with this Death Trooper helmet very well, and the box looks really cool. But let's see how they pack this thing. Okay, so when they first started making these helmets, they would come in multiple pieces. If you'll recall some of my older videos, the Stormtrooper helmet being in 3 pieces. And lately they've been sending them in just 1 piece, or maybe you have to add on a viewfinder on the side. So we'll see here. Looks like they've got the cardboard on the top. And then very clearly, it looks like this is just going to come in 1 piece. And that is accurate. The helmet's just in 1 piece in there, so we're going to get it in front of some lights now. Okay, so here it is out of the box. Overall first impressions, wow, this thing it's really cool. It's really good looking. The black is super shiny on it. You're probably going to see lots of reflections of lights and my ugly mug and stuff like that, so I'll apologize for that ahead of time. Now, it's made out of the same ABS plastic, it feels like, that they typically use, and then this, it's a really hard plastic as well, but they've done a good job of making that look like metal. And of course, it's got the green lights down here, and we might actually try the electronic effects on this one, we'll see. But the first thing that stands out to me is, this is different from my Anovos one, is this is one of the specialists. He has some sort of device on the side of his helmet, but if you look closely, like right in here and up and down some of the cracks and crevices, this one has some weathering and some wear and tear on it, which is something that I'm not used to. The other one that I have from Anovos it's pristine. It's like, it's completely crystal. There's nothing messed up on it, and there's no weathering. But these guys obviously have been out in the field. These are 3-dimensional in there. The lenses are good and sturdy, as you can see. And as we come around, it's still a very menacing look. It still looks really good. I'm a little thrown by the weathering, to be honest with you, because like I said, I'm not used to seeing that on this particular helmet. They're usually pretty pristine when you get examples of them. So that's interesting that they've gone with that. They have the weathering over here. This looks like dust. And then down here, it looks like it's been bumped into things, and you can see the actual metal or whatever it's supposed to represent underneath. And as we come around, this obviously is some sort of device that he uses to see, or some sort of sensor array or something like that. There's more weathering on the crease right here. This looks like it's kind of dust weathering. Looks like he might need to work on his helmet a little bit. You can also see this crack coming down here, where it's obvious that these are different pieces that are put together. It looks like this whole part right here is 1 piece, and then this front part is kind of attached up underneath. And then as we come around, you can see the 3-dimensional inlets here and at the bottom. Looks really cool, really well done. And as we keep coming around, the helmet is pretty much the same on the other side, minus the fact that it doesn't have that device on the side. And they continue along here with the weathering, which, like I said, that's an interesting design choice. And I am noticing that this black is super polished. As I go around, I'm actually leaving fingerprints on it, that's cool, because that's what you would expect from the shiny helmet like that. And this front apparatus is really well done. I mean, overall, this helmet, and it's nice and thick and sturdy. it's really, really well done. Wow, this is a phenomenal Hasbro helmet for less than 120 bucks or so. But really quick, let's see what it looks like on the inside. So if you flip it to the inside, they do have some of the fake electronics and things in there, especially along the front of the mouthpiece area and the fake hoses and things. That's very cool. They have the similar, it's probably the same type of head rig that they use in most of these helmets now. And up top, they're kind of padded, yeah, so they feel kind of padded, but the whole top of the helmet here kind of recesses and feels like, but these are actually kind of soft, so that's nice. Should be kind of comfortable on your head. And as you come around, yeah, it's just kind of what we're used to seeing inside of these helmets too, now that they've started doing the faux electronics. Okay, so when they first announced this helmet, I was worried they might try to do something silly like replicate the voice effects these guys had. Mercifully, they haven't tried to put any sort of voice effects on this one, because I think that would have just been catastrophically horrible. Now, the helmet also looks a little funny because I have some of the lights for the table turned off, because this one has light effects, and actually of all of the Black Series helmets I've ever seen, this one has the best light effects. So this piece over here pops off. It just comes right off. It's on some tabs underneath. And then underneath, there's 2 Phillips head screws, and you need 2 AAA batteries. And then it's got 4 settings. I think the first setting would be off. And then you push this button over here. And as you can see, they're not super bright, but the bottom lights for his chin piece come on. But then it gets a lot better, because if you watch the piece up here, I'm not even sure what that's called. Watch this. So the green light in there flashes, and then this light comes on, and it flashes every now and then. Or yeah, see, isn't that cool? Looks like they're tracking. Now that's one of the best lighting effects I've actually seen. That looks common sense, and it looks like it should be there and should be doing something. And then you can turn off the bottom lights and then just have that top light going if you want. And then of course we're back to off. Okay, now as promised, I am comparing this $120 Hasbro Black Series plastic helmet to the Anovos fiberglass $700-ish helmet. So that's the first difference. This one's $700 on Anovos' website. I think they still have some available right now. And this is also not the specialist. He doesn't have the light up here. So that's going to be different for the comparison. The thing that strikes me right off is the fact that this thing is robust and sturdy, but it's made out of plastic. And this one with fiberglass, it's probably twice as heavy. And it would probably be a bear to wear for a really long period of time. The other thing that stands out to me, obviously, is that the Anovos helmet doesn't have any weathering per se. Right in here, you can see like some discoloration on the metal, and this is like a metal color. It's not black, whereas on the Anovos, or excuse me, the Hasbro helmet, this is black, and there looks like some what I would call like carbon scoring or something in there. But this guy cleans this helmet. It's not dirty, and it's not been banged against anything. The other thing that strikes me right off the bat is that look at the difference in the height. So the Hasbro helmet is a little taller. It probably doesn't show up on video quite as well, but more importantly, look at the vast difference between the lenses. So there's a larger gap here on the Hasbro helmet between the brow and the nose piece than there is here. These are bubbled, and these are flat, and those are more green than these. This one actually this Anovos version looks more sinister. Now the pieces that come out here, this one's a little bit more robust, these black tubings that go up the sides here. But that's a good overall look, and of course these pieces down at the bottom look almost identical. These are on an angle more, but these are kind of straight in, if you can see that. So, and then when you compare the sides of the helmet, this looks really good, don't get me wrong, but this looks more like a real helmet the way these are cut in, like it's like an actual helmet, not like a replica. This is gray in here where they just left this black on this helmet here. Once again, no weathering on the sides on the Anovos one, just a little bit of carbon scoring in here. And you can see, once again, the difference in the lenses and how this one seems to be just a little bit smaller than the Hasbro helmet. Now, if you're talking about the Phase 2 clones in the Hasbro, people will tell you, wow, those things look really big. So Hasbro tends to make their helmets, I think, a little bit bigger. Both of these fit my head. I've tried them both on, so I'm not quite sure why the exterior of this one is, significantly larger if you look at it. And then on the backs, there's just been a little bit more attention paid to detail on this one than on this one. All of these or both of these have all the same cutouts, but on the Anovos version, the interior of the cutouts are a grayish color, where they've just left the ones on the Black Series one black. And of course, I showed you the interior of this one, but I didn't show you the top. And if you can, I hope it shows up on camera, you can see there's like a plastic knob or indent on the top there, where there was some sort of manufacturing going on. And wow, that thing's a mirror, look at me. Whereas on top of the Anovos helmet, you don't have that. And then inside the Anovos helmet, it's fully padded in there, unlike the Hasbro helmet, because this one's obviously made for costuming. You could throw this on and immediately get into like the 501st Legion or one of those other high-end costuming clubs. But there you have it. There's a pretty comprehensive look and comparison of the new Black Series Rogue One Death Trooper helmet. And overall, wow, just wow. They did an excellent job on this. Like I said, I don't think I would have weathered it quite this much. I would have liked it a little bit more pristine, but hey, it's a design choice and the helmet still looks good. At the $120 price mark, you just can't beat this thing. And the lights are some of the best lighting effects we've seen on a Hasbro helmet ever, if you ask me. So there you have it. And with that, I appreciate you joining me. If you feel like subscribing, if you're not already a subscriber, that's a great way to support my efforts here at Paul's Collectibles. I speak English, and I used to speak English for a living. And if you've been watching my videos for a really long time, you know I greatly appreciate you. But with that, I'll see you on the next video.